Hello everyone and welcome to game 3 in the series between Demuslim and Violet here on Antigua Shipyard. This is not the BattleNet version, no gold mineral patches in the center of the map, and we'll see how this game works out. Violet spawning as the red Zerg here on the bottom right hand side, meanwhile Demuslim spawning as the blue Terran on the top left hand side. This will be full cross spawns, and based upon how Violet is moving out with this Overlord, I'm not 100% sure he knows where his opponent is. Actually, no, he does know where his opponent is. He's going to purposely park it off over here. He does not want to send it across the middle of the map to perhaps get shot down by a Marine. The only real questionable part would be right here. The Overlord could get shot down in transit, as we now see Demuslim opening up with the front door supply depot. Now, Antigua Shipyard, a very nice map for Zerg players. Their natural expansion does have a ramp, making it very difficult for Hellion harassment to poke up there, as one spine crawler here can cover so much of the ramp and deal a lot of damage. Barracks should be placed down in just a moment, waiting for the additional minerals, and there we go, as a drone now making its way across the map. Demuslim so far has gone for that delayed refinery. I would say it's sometime around the timing, something around a 15 refinery. And what it allows him to do is it allows him to get the refinery, it allows him to get the supply depot as well on the front door if he wants to, and it also allows him to get a little bit more minerals early on for a faster command center. Still no gas as of yet, as the drone wandering around here. We'll see whether or not Demuslim is going to go for another supply depot first, or perhaps a refinery, or neither of the above, as we now see the refinery being added here, the barracks are completed, and now we should see this upgrade to an orbital command. Damage already being dealt to Violet's drone there. Marines will be rallying themselves off to the extractor. Demuslim now upgrading the orbital command, and should be able to get in a mule in just a little while longer, as we now also see Demuslim getting gas. Hatchery already started by Violet some time ago. It looks like this was a full extractor pool, and that means that Violet will be able to get metabolic boost very, very early on this map. The sheer size of it does generally play well towards faster Zerglings early on in the game, as it denies Hellions from being able to take early map control. And now we see the Marines finishing off the drone, the Marine taking a little bit of damage, not quite sure from where, as we are now going into a command center at the natural expansion already. A bunker should be built here, perhaps even here and here, as well as Banelings should be able to Banelings are not going to be able to really see what they're trying to destroy until they get halfway up that ramp. Both hatcheries now trading up queens. No gas being harvested at all right now. Actually, no, one drone on gas right now, as we do see the metabolic boost has been started. Marines will be able to jump in there now, as we now see a reactor being built right next to the factory, and we'll see if it is going to be Hellions, or if he's just going to do one Hellion and double Marines and try to go for tanks a little bit later. So far, Demuslim only has one gas right now. He does not have his second gas up and running, so he's not going to really be able to heavily invest in, say, any sort of gas units, such as siege tanks, as the Marines in the bunker are going to try to destroy all of these Zerglings. And is it going to be enough? The Zerglings, one goes down, a second one goes down. The supply depots need to be raised. Is it going to be raised in time, as the Marines now making their way forward? Another Zergling getting destroyed, more Zerglings falling, as the supply depots, are they going to be raised? Yes, they are. And now all of those Zerglings are pretty much stuck, but they have revealed a lot of key and crucial information. Violet sitting at 36/36 food, 27 drone versus a 21 SCV advantage, as we now see Demuslim getting in his second orbital command. We are going into that triple racks build. We'll see if the factory adds on a tech lab, and then if we will be getting siege tanks. That's really what we saw in the previous, or what we saw Demuslim do or try to do in game 1, getting those siege tanks just up a little bit later than he needed and unable to defend off that roach push. We'll see if Demuslim tries to change things up a little bit more, or if he's just going to go into a very heavy bio play with Reactor, Tech Lab on Barracks. Drones now being trained as well. Zerglings being added to this group, and as both players do not want to really engage. Violet does have a macro hatch about to be completed, and with this, Violet should be able to get up into the 50 drone range, and after the 50 drone range, then establish his natural expansion, or his third base off over here. A very common strategy now for Zerg is to not try to overexpand at the 8-minute mark, but go for a macro hatch inside your base. It allows you to not overexpose yourself early on in the game, but still gives you the same production as you are running off of 3 hatcheries, as you are running on 3 hatcheries. Hellions making a move down across the map. You can see Stim level 1 weapons upgrade coming in. Nothing over here on the high ground just quite yet, but there are going to be spine crawlers that impale and get a lot of damage on that Hellion. Hellion unable to drive by in time, as those spine crawlers deal 25 damage per poke. Baneling's now coming in, and now Zergling's going to surround a Hellion. There it goes, as the Zerglings make short work of that Hellion there. Level 1 weapons upgrade. Marines, Hellions, as we are running on still 1 gas at this stage. Curious as to what the Muslim's ultimate strategy is going to be, as he cannot really fend off that many Banelings with just Marines. Marines melt away to Banelings very quickly, as we now see Zerglings and Zerglings lying in wait, ready to intercept the Muslims' attack. So far, both of these players haven't really engaged in any major conflict. Still waiting to see what's going to happen here. Both sides wants to make sure that they don't attack, only to see themselves... they don't want to attack the other person, only to see themselves lose home field advantage and lose a lot of units. We are now at tier 2 off over here. We should see an infestation pit. No, we're going to see burrow and now movement speed upgrade. So we should be able to get some Baneling landmines in addition to an Overseer. Hellions now making their way, taking a look, and once again spotting no third base. Zerglings now able to surround and finish off 1 Hellion there. A sea of Zerglings off over here could have intercepted this group of Hellions. And we'll see how this is all going to work out in just a moment, as the Zerglings are now going to surround these Hellions and finish them off once more. Overseer was able to come by, drop another changeling inside the base. So now Violet has all the information he needs, knowing how heavy the worker saturation is at the main base. And when these drones do get pulled off, he will have a good idea of when a third base has been established. Orbital command already being upgraded off over here. No upgrades on the siege tanks. Marines don't have combat shield yet. About to get level 1 armor upgrades first, as we are now going into another factory. Still both players sitting inside their bases. Drones now being transferred, doing a little bit of long distance mining back and forth. Between these bases, Violet also getting up 2 more extractors as well. He's really playing it safe. He hasn't really gone heavily into Mutalisk or any sort of tier 2 units. He just got here, it almost feels like. And he hasn't really tipped his hand on what tier 2 units he wants to do. An Overseer quickly falls to a missile turret there. Marines don't even bother to get a final shot. Oh, actually, the Marine, I think the Marine did get the final kill. Which one did it? Oh, this guy over here. As an orbital command now tries to land here. Marines are going to make their way over, and oh, a nice Baneling landmine by Violet to stop that. And now all this Zergling needs to do is burrow himself, and could have prevented even more units. or prevented the mining over here even longer. Zerglings now making their way out, will be able to get in position. The siege tanks are not in siege mode just quite yet. One Banelings are now going to make their way in again, and now there's a scanner sweep, not allowing the Muslim, or he's not going to fall for that same trap twice, as Marines now finishing off Zerglings off over here, as the Zerglings are just simply sitting in the mineral line. Banelings still getting cleaned up. Another Baneling off over here going to get cleaned up again. So the Muslim able to stop a couple key Baneling landmines, as a drop now coming in, and that poor Zergling will not be able to really do very much of anything. We now have 12 Mutalisks in the air. We are going into the Zerg flyer upgrades as well for armor, as Mutalisks do tend to take a lot of damage from Marines. Mutalisk once again trying to put in pressure over here at the 12 o'clock position, unable to do so. Going now, after taking down the missile turret, going after the refinery, and now going after perhaps a reactor, but the missile turret still getting in some easy damage so far. The missile turret does get shot down, as all of these glaive worms now have pretty much a free run inside the natural, or inside the main base. Meanwhile, a very large attack force now coming in across the center of the map. Siege tanks need the siege if they want to be able to stop all of these Banelings. The Banelings not going to be able to stop in time. Mutalisk now going after more units. There are no Thors that I can spot, and no more missile turrets. So we'll see what's going to happen here. The Muslims simply just walking and attacking with a very large group, and now going to be going after drones. There are a lot of drones in the mineral line here, dealing a lot of damage over here. You can see a lot of Marines all grouped together, as well as the hatchery is going to fall, but not before a lot of drones get destroyed as well. There you go, one base has fallen. Meanwhile, back in the base of the Terran, more medevacs are trying to come out, only to get destroyed. You can see that the medevacs were able to barely escape there, as now the Marines are trying to finish off this war here. Marines going after the spine crawlers, now making their way inside the natural expansion. The Queen now going to quickly fall. Zerglings and Marines going at it, as the Marines are upgraded 2-1. The Zerglings are upgraded as well 1-1, and the Banelings find their target and are able to take them out. Mutalisk deciding to back off here. We have two medevacs. Oh, the medevacs able to regroup, as those Mutalisks back off at just the wrong time. Marines, and a lot of them, are coming by, and we'll see what's going to happen here. The Mutalisk being very careful to stay up on that high ground, as Marines are now trying to push out and hide themselves by missile turrets as well. You can see that the Mutalisk off over here. This is not looking good. We have a drop now happening over here in the main base. Banelings do find their target, but there is still a good 7 Marines constantly fighting, as we now have Mutalisk going after the Marines and the siege tanks. Violet, however, not engaging all too well, going to lose a lot of Mutalisks there, but able to perhaps clean up this drop with a lot more Banelings. Marines now pushing themselves, and will be able to take down even more bases off over here. One Baneling taking down one Marine. Not that good of a trade, as Violet now going to finish off the last of the Marines off over here, but it is still 2 bases now compared to 3, as this base is still very well saturated. 3-2 upgrades now coming in. The Marines looking to perhaps regroup themselves and recompose. If they can do a good strong push here, take down a couple Banelings before the Banelings take down the Marines, that would be very helpful, as the Muslim cannot afford to battle like this, as we now see Mutalisk going up against more Marines still in the center portion. More Marines now being added. Drones now making their way straight into the mineral, or straight into the other base over here, but only find themselves taking damage from Marines and their Gauss rifles. We'll see what's going to happen here, as the Mutalisks are now trying to attack and take down this squadron of Marines again. We still have a large number of Mutalisks, but the numbers are slowly starting to dwindle, as I had thought that Violet had originally gotten to critical mass on those Mutalisks, but those Mutalisks are only upgraded 0-1 compared to the soon 3-2 upgrade, or 3-2 now Marines. Banelings now finding their target. It looks like they will be able to finish this off here, take down the multiple siege tanks. And now the Muslim now needs to reinforce. He does have a lot more Marines and a very nice Banelings or Marine split there against those Banelings to try to finish this all off. And down goes the rest of those units. Marines need to perhaps make their way down, take down this hatchery. As Violet now down to 92 food. There are some missile turrets, as the missile turrets get off some easy shots against some Mutalisks there, and now the Marines going to go after even more Zerglings and perhaps the Banelings again. This hatchery has fallen. There is still just one hatchery off over here. Violet really losing pace in this game, as the Marines are now making their way down. Siege tanks and Marines trying to battle it out again. It looks like the siege tank will fall. The Zerglings should be able to finish off the Marines. If not, the Banelings will do the job for them. And there you go. But still, Violet now behind by about 40 food, and we'll see if this trend continues as the Marines are able to take down a lot of Zerglings in transit. Mutalisk now perhaps going to regroup with all of these Zerglings. There is no planetary fortress here. Demuslim could lose this orbital command very, very easily, as the Zerglings are now swarming in after those SCVs. Marines going to deal a lot of damage, finish off a lot of those Zerglings here, and finish off the Zerglings off to the north. We are at 2 bases to 2 bases now. Actually, 2 bases to 1, as Violet doesn't even really have a full 1. Meanwhile, the Muslim has a full base at his 3rd, as the Muslim has a full base, but he needs to transfer some drones over. It looks like the Muslim should be able to put the final nail in the coffin here with this 3-2 push of Marines, siege tanks, and even a Thor, as those Banelings are all getting destroyed in the center portion after a quick scanner sweep. Marines now looking to finish the job here, going after the drones. Drones one at a time getting destroyed, but a nice Baneling bomb there on the ramp, taking down multiple Marines. 59 food versus 200. The Marines once again trying to battle it up against all of those Mutalisks. The hatchery has fallen again, and now you see Zerglings once again running rabid inside the base at this 3rd base location here, and now the Mutalisks cannot even get back over, as that Zergling squadron has been destroyed. Banelings detonating themselves still on a lot more Marines, and there is the GG. Well played. Violet losing game 3 in the series. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.